Lisa Strzok emerges from the shadows to tell her story and claims she's a victim. The president's picking on her. And the mayor of Chicago has had to, by de facto, acknowledge President Trump was right about the Chicago police superintendent. Oh, it's been a good day. Well, Thanksgiving may be over, but there's still plenty of leftover turkey. Apparently, Lisa Strzok is upset that the president is constantly picking on her. And so she's giving an interview to the Daily Beast to set the record straight, to tell her side of the story, to explain she wanted this to just go away and she wanted to fade away into the shadows. But the president keeps picking on her.
One of President Trump's favorite targets, Lisa Page, is defending herself after 2 years of silence. That defense coming in a new interview with the Daily Beast. Page, in a single tweet on a new account, tweeted this: "I'm done being quiet." President Trump has regularly criticized and ridiculed the former FBI lawyer, along with former FBI agent Peter Strzok, after text messages between the two were made public about 2 years ago. Page says she chose to come forward now because of this at a recent Trump rally.
I love you, Peter. I love you too, Lisa. Lisa, I love you. Lisa, Lisa. Oh God, I love you, Lisa. And if she doesn't win, Lisa, we've got an insurance policy, Lisa.
Like trying to process.
I mean, John King can't even keep a straight face on this. Now, he would like to admonish and rebuke the president for his lack of presidentialness, but he's got to admit it's funny. It's better than a Saturday Night Live skit. And sadly, and more pathetically, it's true. This disgraced FBI agent, carrying on, having an affair, they were not just hot and heavy for each other. They were hot and heavy and ended up to their eyeballs that Trump not be elected. And if he is, well, they have an insurance plan, a policy, a way to get rid of him. The deep state tipping their hand one to the other that they've got the silent coup to get rid of this guy who's from the outside, is not part of the oligarch, is not part of the establishment, is not part of the elite, is not part of the swamp. He's got no business being there. And the American people, they've got no business actually thinking that that whole we the people stuff actually applies. That they get to decide, they get to vote, they get to choose. No. The government knows what's best for you, and we will tell you who that person is going to be. And the fact that we, the people, voted in a duly elected president, right from jump, he had to be discredited and he had to go. Now, is CNN going to tell it that way? No! CNN doesn't tell the truth. They tell you propaganda, spin.
She also says she's a lawyer. She knows what the boundaries were when she was texting, and she says that I of anyone would understand that I didn't do anything. I still don't think I did anything wrong here.
Right. She says she had a personal opinion that she shared with a man with whom she was having a relationship in their text messages, but she says she was able to put her blinders back on and do her job as a professional when it came to what should we do about the information before us in the Russia investigation.
Is that not the most pathetic defense you've heard of this person? Well, she's a lawyer. She's a lawyer, so she certainly would know not to cross any lines. She's a lawyer. So, lawyers always tell the truth. They're always about getting to the truth. They never, ever do or say anything that's self-serving. Can anybody say Michael Avenatti? So, lawyers never lie. Lawyers never get disbarred. Lawyers never go to jail for breaking the law, being dishonest. Let's be honest. Lisa Strzok Page never, ever, ever thought they were going to get caught. That's why they were so brazen in their texting back and forth to one another. They never thought this would see the light of day. They just assumed that the deep state, empowered by the intelligence community, emboldened by the Obama administration, that even if Trump got elected, they would be able to create the narrative, control the spin, and he was supposed to be gone by now. This was never, ever, ever supposed to see the light of day. But let me just go ahead and cloud a perfectly good conspiracy with good facts and truth and Bible. Those things which are done in secret, God has a way of kind of bringing out of the shadows. The truth will set you free. The truth crushed to earth shall rise again, and those things which are done in secret, he will make sure they are shouted from the housetop.
While it would be nice to have the IG confirm publicly that my personal opinions had absolutely no bearing on the course of the Russia investigations, I don't kid myself that the facts will matter very much. Fact will not matter very much for a lot of people. The president has a very loud megaphone. And this is an interesting, even beyond Lisa Page. A lot of the reporting so far, based on sources about what the IG is going to say, is yes, some judgment calls, yes, one low-level lawyer who altered a document, and that's reprehensible.
Don't you just love that? There's going to be a low-level lawyer who will probably face indictment for altering, some documents, and that's a reprehensible thing, and that's terrible, and that shouldn't have happened. No, that's beyond reprehensible. That's the whole case. And it's treason. Forging FISA documentation so that they could obtain illegal warrants to spy on Donald Trump. But of course, John King isn't going to present it that way. No. They're doing two things here. Number one, they're allowing Lisa Strzok Page to have cover for the coming IG report, which is probably not going to be very nice. And so she wants to be out in front of this. On the one hand, she's hoping to be exonerated. And on the other hand, by saying that the president is a bully and there are people around him that are not interested in the truth but only perpetuating his narrative because he's got the bully pulpit, he's got the megaphone. If there's anything negative in this report about her, she is giving the media the cover to be able to protect her by saying that it's skewed, that it's biased, that it's simply about supporting the Trump narrative and not actually getting to the real truth. And then there's something else that the media is setting up here, and that is this idea that there was nothing illegal which took place here. That the FBI and the intelligence agencies, they acted within protocol, that the dossier, they had no reason to doubt its validity, and they were acting on good faith. And if a couple of low levels, that James Comey didn't know about, forged documentation and altered some things, that had nothing to do with them. Why, they are as clean as the fresh fallen snow.
However, the Carter Page warrant was warranted. There was no political bias in the FBI leadership in the investigation. That's not what the president wants to hear.
Oh, the warrants on Carter Page, that was absolutely, that was necessary. No, because how did all that happen? Oh yeah, that forged fake piece of paper that was used to secure illegal FISA warrants. And so they set out then to entrap him. And this idea that the rest of the FBI community, why, there's no there. There was no political bias there. She was able to act impartially. She had a political opinion, but she was able to act impartially. And James Comey certainly was not caught up in any bias. Why, don't you know that when he defecates, it comes out marble and it doesn't smell, and every nugget that falls from his lips are golden, and they're like the golden egg that comes from the back end of a goose, and he is near divinity himself. Why, he is the bastion of ethics. And Lisa Page, these people, they have been framed and lied about by Donald Trump. Do you understand that once again you have the perpetrators of a crime claiming to be victim, and CNN is perfectly willing to give them cover? Are you kidding me? And they're hoping beyond hope that you are just stupid enough to listen to their narrative rather than understand the facts. Well, here's some facts, Miss Strzok. This isn't going to fade away and go away until you are brought to justice, until you are asked questions that we can all hear your answers to, that you are actually held accountable, you and everyone else in the intelligence community, for your insurance policy and the attempted coup of this president. So you can sit there and laugh, John King, and you can bring together all the panels that you want to bring over there at Airport Terminal TV, formerly known as CNN. Because you people sure aren't about the truth. You sure aren't about reporting. You are a propaganda machine, period. Period. And what's shameful is that there are still those that stupidly and naively give you credence as an actual news reporting agency. You are nothing of the kind. These people need to be brought down. And one can only hope that the IG report is the first nail into the coffin, and that we now have an attorney general that will actually bring the hammer down on these nails as they are laid out, and that some people, and not just low-level lawyers, but some people with some name notoriety, actually go to prison. Whether you are a Democrat or Republican, do you want your vote null and voided, and somebody that's duly elected thrown out simply because the deep state and the oligarch says, we did not choose this man. You can't have him. We don't care if you are we the people. We, the government, the deep state, we are the real people. You are here to do our bidding. That's a dangerous place to be. Not long ago, President Trump went to the city of Chicago to address the National Convention of Police Commissioners from across the nation. And noticeably absent was the police commissioner / superintendent, Eddie Johnson.
There is one person that's not here today. We're in Chicago. I said, where is he? I want to talk to him. In fact, more than anyone else, this person should be here because maybe he could learn something. And that's the superintendent of Chicago Police, Eddie Johnson. A few days ago, Johnson said, quote, "The values of the people of Chicago are more important than anything President Trump would have to say." I don't think so. Last year, 565 people were murdered in Chicago. Since Eddie Johnson has been police chief, more than 1,500 people have been murdered in Chicago, and 13,067 people have been shot. During the first weekend of August 2019, 7 people were murdered and 52 were wounded in 32 shootings in Chicago. And recently they had 78 shootings over a weekend spree and 3 people killed.
Oh, Eddie, where are you, Eddie? Oh, that's right. You're a sanctuary city, and Donald Trump does not represent your ideals. And then it came out that some police officers found him passed out in his car. Well, he held a press conference. He said he was not passed out, that he suffers from high blood pressure and heart trouble, and when he feels the symptoms coming on, he simply pulled over to rest, to let these symptoms subside, and he fell asleep. I didn't pass the laugh test, but nonetheless, he called this big press conference. The mayor stood by his side. The mayor defended him after the vicious attack by Donald Trump. You know, Lisa Strzok has CNN defending her, that she's been picked on by the president. He tweets about her. He makes fun of her and mocks her at campaign rallies. So the mayor, lightweight, came out to support Eddie. We stand with our mayor. And then when the mayor finally said, I don't want to be the cause of all this upheaval, it's just time for me to retire. And the big gala celebration was being planned. And now this happened.
Today I'm announcing that I terminated Eddie Johnson's employment as superintendent of the Chicago Police Department for cause effective immediately. Upon reviewing the materials as to Eddie Johnson of the Inspector General's ongoing investigation regarding the events of October 16th and early morning hours of October 17th and thereafter, it has become clear that Mr. Johnson engaged in a series of actions that are intolerable for any leader in a position of trust, particularly the head of the Chicago Police Department. First, the finding of the Inspector General's report regarding Mr. Johnson, which I recently reviewed, makes clear that Eddie Johnson engaged in conduct that is not only unbecoming, but demonstrated a series of ethical lapses and flawed decision-making that is inconsistent with having the privilege of leading the Chicago Police Department. Second, Johnson intentionally misled the public in a press conference he called on October 17, 2019. He was not caught off guard, and he had plenty of time to choose his words. And the choice he made was to communicate a narrative replete with false statements, all seemingly intended to hide the true nature of his conduct from the evening before. Finally, just like with the public, Eddie Johnson intentionally lied to me several times, even when I challenged him about the narrative that he shared with me. He maintained that he was telling the truth. I now know definitively that he was not.
Oh! Once you found out that he lied to you, Mayor, he had to go because he made you look bad. What about all those deaths, the crime, the murders? Wasn't that enough to relieve him of his duties? That he was derelict and didn't know what he was doing? That Chicago has become the laughingstock of the nation? You have the highest murder rate. You have the strictest gun laws, and 98% of your shootings and murders will go unchecked and unarrested. No one will ever be held accountable. And you are going to let this guy retire and draw a pension? He should have been fired for gross negligence alone, whether or not he lied to you or not about drunk driving. Getting himself intoxicated, getting behind the wheel of a vehicle. Would anybody else have been able to get away with that as long as he did? Well, the Chicago PD had had enough of Eddie Johnson, and they wanted him gone, and they didn't surround him with the blue wall. And Mayor, you fired him because you had no choice. He made you look bad. But then again, that's the ethics of a Democrat. We will cover up your pedophilia. We will cover up your incestual relationships. We'll even cover up your raping interns in the Oval Office until you make us look bad personally. We can never allow these people to ever regain control again. That's it for tonight's rant. Hey, make sure you give us a big thumbs up. Share these videos. Please share these links everywhere because YouTube continues to mess with the algorithm, not allow us to pop up in search engines, and they're shadow banning us. Make sure you're still a subscriber.